Well, it's like the Pink Floyd line, living life of quiet desperation. I mean, that just terrifies
Well,
me.
that's Thoreau's quote, that most men live lives of quiet desperation. It's one of my favorite quotes ever because it's true.
So
and I've been that guy.
My God.
You're just in this world where you just can't wait to just run away.
And how do people get stuck there? How do you think they get stuck there?
Bills.
Bills, like financial bills?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Bills and
interesting.
commitment. You have an apartment you have to pay for. You have a car you leased. You have a wife that you have to feed. You have a child you have to raise. You have to. You have your mortgage. You have your this. You have your that. And that's where it all comes from. You have to take a path that's dangerous. And most people want to take the safe path. And the safe path leaves you stuck in quiet desperation almost every time. It's hell. It's hell. You're selling insurance or some other shit that you care zero about.
But can people just make that change? I mean,
Yes,
look,
you can,
I believe they
but
can.
you have to plan it out. The way you can change is you have to put aside enough money to give yourself a window. And then you have to have a plan. And you have to spend all your waking hours outside of whatever shit job you do planning your escape. And you have to come to the realization very clearly that you fucked up and you got yourself stuck. So whatever you're doing, you have to do it like your life depends on it.
Here's the short history of me. Born in 1961, went to high school. I went to one university for a semester, American University in Washington, D.C. Didn't like it, knew I couldn't afford 4 years of student loan. Didn't want to hang out with people who were enraptured by Stroh's beer and marijuana. This wasn't going to be for me. So I hit the streets and pursued the minimum wage jobs that I'd had all through high school. And that was, for me, that was me in the late 70s. The last straight job I had was 1981. Head manager of a Haagen-Dazs in Georgetown in Washington, D.C. on Wisconsin Avenue at the intersection of Wisconsin and O Street, making $3.75 an hour, $4 an hour, something like that. Working 40 to 60 hours a week. I had a small apartment which I shared with an old pal of mine. I had a small record collection, an ailing VW automobile, and a little tiny life with my minimum wage job, which I liked. And I looked at my life and realized this is probably about as good as it's going to get for me. I might quit this place and go work at my friend's record store because I liked being around records, and I could probably run his store very well, knowing what I knew about retail at that point. And then I got a very lucky break. At that same time, I was very frustrated. I said, well, this is going to be a very tough life. It's going to be a life of a lot of standing on my feet, a lot of work, taking it from other people, and having very little to show for it by Friday, Friday evening. And then Black Flag, the famous band, who was friends of mine, they played in New York. I was in Washington. I took a ride up to go see them because they weren't coming down to my town. I jumped on stage and sang with them that night, a song, because I had to go back down to D.C. and go work like some awful shift. They called me a few days later at the ice cream store and said, we're looking for a singer because the rhythm guitar player wants to, the vocalist wants to move down to rhythm guitar. You can tell I've told the story before. And we're holding auditions. Do you want to crack at this? Because we saw you on stage the other night. You're pretty wild. I looked at the ice cream scoop in my hand, my chocolate bespattered apron, and my future in the world of minimum wage work. Or I could go up to New York and audition for this crazy band who was my favorite. What's the worst that's going to happen to me? I miss a day of work. Ooh, there goes 21 bucks. And I get humiliated in front of my favorite band. Yeah, humiliation and young people kind of go together. I was used to it. And so I took a train up there. I walked into this practice place in the East Village. I'm standing there with the band with a microphone in my hand. They said, pick the tune. And I sang every song they had, improvising most of it. 2 times through, we did the set. They said, okay, you have a seat. We're going to go have a band meeting, whatever that means. And they came back like 10 minutes later, said, okay, you're in. I said, what do you mean? They said, you're the singer in Black Flag. I said, so what do? They go, you quit your job, you pack your gear, you meet us on the road. Here's the tour itinerary, here's the lyrics. We'll see you soon. So, fairly numb, I went back down to Washington with this passel of lyrics in my hand. Went to my boss and said, I'm not exactly quitting, but here's this thing that happened. And he said, it's your shot. I said, yeah. He said, take it. And that was late July 1981, about 30 some years ago. And that's what happened to me. I won the lottery.
Tomorrow you may bring about the destruction of your world. Tomorrow you may sing in paradise above the smoking ruins of your world cities. But tonight I would think of one man, a lone individual, a man without a name or a country. A man who I respect because he has absolutely nothing in common with you. The man is myself. Tonight I shall meditate upon that which I am. Henry Miller, 1934. So just get into it for yourself.
I'm about to have a nervous breakdown. My head really hurts. If I don't find a way out of here, I'm gonna go berserker. I'm crazy and I'm hurt. Head on my shoulders, going berserk. All right. I won't apologize for acting out of line. You see the way I am. You leave anytime you can't go.